Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another one of our live chats this evening, where we will be talking to you all about everything you need to know about finance if you're hoping to come to university in September. So my name's Emily, and I'll be your host this evening, and I am joined by three of my wonderful colleagues in the finance team here at NTU who are experts in this area. So I will let you guys introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Hello, good evening. My name's David May and I run Nottingham Trent University's Student Financial Advice Service.
Who wants to go next?
Jackie.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackie. I'm a Financial Capability and Student Success Officer here at NTU.
Perfect.
Hi, my name's Letitia, and I'm doing Student Financial Support Assistant at NTU.
Perfect. Thanks very much, everyone. So hopefully we'll be able to give you lots of information tonight on this topic as we go through. We've got a little presentation for you. It'll be saved on our YouTube after, so don't worry if you have to shoot off or you've missed something. You can look back in your own time or send it on to someone else if they might find it useful. And then we'll also have some time for questions at the end. So if you do have any questions as we go along, just pop them in the chat and we will try our best to answer as many as possible of those as we go through. So without further ado, I will hand it over to you guys. So I'll just pop on the presentation.
Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go through some slides that covers fees, funding and money for undergraduate courses at Nottingham Trent. Just to let you know that all of the funding information that I'll be going through is for those of you that make applications to Student Finance England. So if you apply to student finance in the other areas of the UK, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, some of the figures may be different, and I do urge you to seek the information from their respective websites. So very warm welcome to you all. During this presentation, we'll be covering the following areas. So we'll start by looking at tuition fees for full-time undergraduate courses. We'll look at living costs for students, how you might fund your studies, and then we'll also wrap up with some further information about help and support. In addition to that, afterwards, there will be time for you to put some questions to us. So please do pop those in the comments and we'll do our very best to answer those. So tuition fees then. So for you starting in the 23 to 24 academic year, tuition fees are £9,250 for a standard full-time undergraduate degree programme. So those fees have been fixed for a few years now, and my understanding is that the government are likely to keep those fees in place for the next few years. My understanding is that it's possibly around 25, 26 when the fees may be reviewed. If you're looking to undertake a sandwich degree, so sandwich degrees generally allow you to go out for a year on a work placement, typically your third year, then the fee for that year will be £1,850. Some of our courses allow you to spend a year overseas studying abroad, and the fee for that year will be £1,385. So what I'm going So just going to hand you over to Jackie now, who will go through some living costs information with you.
Thanks, David. So a little bit about living costs. So for those of you who don't know, Save the Student is a fantastic website and resource. And they do an annual survey every year about students. So on the screen, you can see just some averages of the monthly spend for students. Obviously, not everything is going to be the same for everyone. So you may spend a little bit more, you may spend a little bit less, but it's always good just to have a few ideas of what averages might be when you join us at NTU, just to have a bit of an idea of how you can budget further as well. And then a little bit about potential upfront costs. So this is the bus passes and things like that. Sometimes it can be cheaper for you to pay something upfront that rather than pay something monthly. So a really good idea is the bus passes or contents insurance. One thing I would always recommend is you check your accommodation contracts to see if accommodation and contents insurance is included in that. If not, it may be something you want to consider. But as well as things like the gym passes and bedding, etc., and things like kitchen items, will be one of your upfront costs that you may have to consider before you start your university.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. So hopefully those figures will give you some idea as to what typical costs might be for your studies. We do have lots of really useful information and guidance available on the NTU website. So do hunt down our fees and funding pages and their average living costs and some really useful hints and tips on there as well. So the next few slides will be looking at how you might fund your studies. And actually, there are various sources of income that you might have. So the biggest one for the vast majority of students is a maintenance loan. So a maintenance loan is the loan that helps to support your living costs, and that's paid to you from student finance. But in addition to that, there may be other pockets of university support that you may be eligible for, such as the NTU bursary or scholarships, and we'll touch upon some of that in a few slides' time. But you may also work part-time whilst you study. Quite a lot of our students do that, so they may work during the summer or during the vacation periods, or they may choose to work a few hours a week alongside their studies. So it's important to strike the right balance. Some of our students may still be entitled to state benefits whilst they study. So typically this might be if you have a disability or a long-term health condition, or if you have children. You may have support from family or a carer, or you may have some savings that you've saved up before you start. So what's really important is to start putting bits of this jigsaw together to make sure that you've got enough money to get through each academic term. So from the Student Loans Company then, there is a core package of support, and that's made up of a tuition fee loan that will cover the full tuition fee, and that's paid directly to the university. And then in addition to that, there is a maintenance loan, and the maintenance loan makes a contribution towards living costs. Now, the amount that you get in maintenance loan can be determined by household income, and we'll look at that in a little bit of time. And in addition, you may be entitled to supplementary grants. So that's particularly the case if you have a long-term health condition, if you have a specific learning difference, if you have children or an adult dependent living with you. So some of this might be paid to you in money. Some of it might be paid to you in the form of additional support that you can get whilst you're studying. So for example, the disabled students allowance could pay for a non-medical helper, could also pay for specialist IT equipment or software. So lots of really useful information at the .gov.uk website that gives you lots more guidance on the funding that may be available to you as an individual. At a university level, we have our NTU bursary. So that's £750 per year. This is available to full-time home undergraduates that receive student finance, so a tuition fee loan and a maintenance loan, and they have a household income of £27,500 a year or below. So we get that data directly from the Student Loans Company. So do make sure that you get a household income assessment as part of your student finance application. And we do have students with us that are estranged from family, or that they are care leavers or a 4-year resident or have been, and those students are entitled to £1,000 bursary on top of the NTU bursary. So you can't get both the estranged student bursary and the care leaver bursary together, but you can certainly get one of those and then the bursary. So each student should get a maximum of 1750. So more information about our bursary provision is available on the website. So this chart here, this is a maintenance loan chart for those students that will be living away from the parental home for the next academic year. And as you can see, the amount of maintenance loan on the middle chart decreases as the household income increases. So students typically get income assessed if their parents would be income assessed, should I say, if the student is under 25 years old. So parents would typically provide their financials to the Student Loans Company. An assessment is undertaken each year. So let's have a look at some of the figures then. So any student that has a household income of 25,000 or less, they will get the maximum maintenance loan of 9,978. And in addition to that, our bursary of 750. And then the minimum maintenance loan that anybody can receive is 4651. So if your household income is above 62,000 or thereabouts is the maximum, you're still entitled to a maintenance loan. but it will always be capped at that 4651 figure. So it's important to bear in mind that there may be a gap between your living costs that you might have, so accommodation, food and other costs, and the amount that you get from student finance. So it's really, really vital that you may need to start to consider how you might plug that gap. Now, some of our students live at home, so in the parental home that is, so you guys are still entitled to a maintenance loan, but that figure is a little bit lower. So the maximum is 8,400 and the minimum is 3,698. So the amount of maintenance loan does go up each year. We'd like to have it gone up a bit more than it has done this year. It hasn't really tracked inflation, but it will increase on a year-by-year basis. So you do apply for your funding each year, and we'll come on to how to apply a bit later on. Okay, so really just to go back to the part-time work, this is probably the one way that students plug that gap, and actually those that do work find that having a bit of work along with their studies is quite helpful, because they're not worrying about studying all the time. They're doing something just to sort of break their week up, and if you're working, then you're not out spending money. And also, if you do work, then you've got some really good experience to draw upon with interviews for when you finish university and that sort of thing. And we have a job shop, uni temps within the university, that advertises a lot of vacancies. So you can work right here within the university on a part-time basis. There's lots of opportunities to do that should you wish to, but make sure that you do get the balance right between working and studying. So here is a financial roadmap. So this week, student finance applications opened. Do apply early, even if you haven't confirmed your place. So it may well be that you're still umming and ahhing about which university to go to, which course you might wish to study. Put your student finance application in, citing where you think you'll be going to. What takes time is the actual application. It can take about 6 to 8 weeks. If you wish to change where you're studying at a later stage, that's just as quick as changing a drop down on a website. Applications are via the .gov.uk website. So if you just search gov.uk student finance, you'll find them. And it takes typically about an hour to complete the application. And then what will happen is your parents will be contacted by email, and they will provide normally their national insurance details for the income assessment. Around springtime, accommodation opens, so do consider your budget. Do consider all of the other providers. So we certainly partner to have our own accommodation. There are loads of providers around in Nottingham, be it halls, be it shared houses. In May, the soft deadline for student finance applications. So if you apply by the end of May, chances are you should have your funding in place before the start of the academic year. Do consider whether or not you wish to have a student bank account. So some nice considerations to have over the summer. And then over that period, once you've finished your studies, your further education, your A-levels, whatever it might be, you can start thinking about what you might need to bring. We've got lots of money ready for NTU financial workshops that Jackie hosts. Certainly worth booking onto one of those. They're completely free. And also over the summer, do double check your funding application to make sure that you've got everything sorted, it's all going well, it's all progressed, and that you've got your award telling you what you're entitled to. And also, finally, on this slide, do consider bringing some money for the first few weeks that you're at university. Now, the reason for that is that we can't confirm to student finance that you're here until you actually are here. We have to then send them an electronic confirmation which releases the funding, and that can take about a week. So if you have some money for the first few weeks, so welcome week, week one, that makes sure that you can enjoy the activities that we'll be hosting for you, but also more importantly, that you've got money for the essentials like milk, food, that sort of thing. Okay, over to Jackie then.
So, Black Bullion. So, for those of you who haven't heard of Black Bullion before, they are a free financial education platform. that have partnered with Nottingham Trent University. And it's a fantastic resource for all of our students, both current and prospective. And the best thing about Black Bullion is that it doesn't sell you anything. It's not there to promote their own products and things. It's just there for you to learn more information and skills so you're prepared for joining universities. You do sign up to Black Bullion, you can log in with a personal email address and you can select Nottingham Trent University, and that will give you access to kind of like the pre-stages before attending uni. So learning more about budgeting, learning a little bit more about student finance. There are some great articles and quizzes and videos to learn more about how you can manage your money skills, as well as brush up on some extra advice as well before you come to university. And if you do decide to choose to come to Nottingham Trent, what that will do, that will change to kind of a more student style profile where you'll have more access to other topics such as, more advanced budgeting, saving, and looking into things into the future such as pensions. So it's a really great resource, and I really recommend all of you have a look at that, register, because you'll feel so much more confident with your money by the time you come to university. So I'm going to hand over to Letitia, who's going to talk a little bit about the money advice appointments and the support you can get at NTU.
Yes, so you can book money advice appointments with us, the Student Financial Support Team, and that would be on our Student Hub website. So we offer various points of advice, so either on budgeting and money management, student finance, so your eligibility in terms if your loans or grants, if you're thinking of either suspending or withdrawing from your studies, and also income maximization, which can include advice in terms of budgeting when you're looking for it. And also if you're thinking to doing a postgraduate, we also offer advice on that. So if I just pass it on to Jackie, and she'll just be speaking about the 5 steps to financial success.
Yeah, so there's just a few steps just to round off our slides, really. So the first one, like David said, please apply early, even if you're not too sure about the course you want to do. It's always great to apply early. That way you've got plenty of time for the student finance to do your application, and everything's ready for you when you start. The next one's get into the habit of budgeting. Some of you might already be, masters at budgeting and everything else, and some of you might just need a little bit more support with that, and that's okay. But try and get into the habit of doing that now. Get used to managing your money and seeing how you can budget. There's so many ways you can do this. We actually have a budget planner on our NTU website that you can download, and it's an Excel spreadsheet for you. Again, sign up to Black Bullion. It's completely free to use. It's a free resource, and it can really help you making those important financial decisions. Try and consider a student bank account if you would like one. There's lots of incentives. Some include an interest-free overdraft and things. If you do want to find out more about student bank accounts, you can speak to your bank if you already are a part of one, if they offer one, or look at the Save the Student website. They do a fantastic comprehensive guide on various banks and comparisons there for you, as well as sign up to a Get Money Ready for NTU workshop. So I host these. We talk about the whole needs to knows about money management, but we also chat about student life as well. And it's another opportunity for you to ask any questions to myself or to any of the other colleagues with me today to find out more about NTU as well.
Okay, so on the screen now, I've put some QR codes, and some of these will link through to the Student Loans Company's own materials. And there is a really amazing video about the student loans process that they've put on there as well. Now, you don't necessarily need to go and run and grab your phone now to scan these, because this information, this event this evening, we're going to be popping it on YouTube. So you'll be able to go back to it at a later stage. So if there's anything that you may have missed, you can go back and just double check and can scan the barcodes then. But also on top of that, you're always welcome to contact our team, as Letitia mentioned. So the advice and guidance that we provide is not just for current students, but it's just as much for prospective students as well. And that may well be if it's a student loan inquiry. At the moment, the Student Loans Company having just opened for applications, there will be very long holds Whereas if you call us, hopefully the holds won't be as long. We're generally very, very quick at answering the telephone, and you can find all of our contact details online. Or if you fancy dropping us an email, the email address you can see moving along the bottom of the screen at financial.support@ntu.ac.uk, and we'd be really, really keen to speak with you. But in addition to that, what we're going to do now is have a bit of a Q&A. So if you haven't already popped your question into the chat, please feel free to do so, and we'll certainly do our level best to answer them for you.
Brill, thanks for that, guys. That was really insightful. I think there's definitely some food for thought, definitely in terms of kind of budgeting and getting ready, getting ahead of yourself before you come to university in September. So I think we've got a few questions popping off in the chat. So we'll get them popped on here and we'll start answering some of those for you. So how do I ensure that my money lasts all term?
Well, I'm going to hand this one to Letitia. And Letitia, as well as being an expert member of the team, has very recently graduated from our awesome university. So this one's probably still quite close in your mind, would it be, Letitia?
Yeah, it's still quite fresh, but yeah, I think to ensure that your money lasts all term, the things that I did when I was at university is that I really had to start becoming financially aware of how much money I've got and how to budget that through, but also understanding my personal financial circumstances. So sometimes it also depends on your studies. So I know that I was working part-time as well. So I knew that when I had less lectures, I might be able to put a little bit more money aside by working a little bit more. So I think making your money last is about being able to plan, but also know how to spend your time and where you're spending your time according to your course and also your social life.
So just so you know, the maintenance loan is paid in 3 equal instalments at the start of each term. So the first payment comes in at around the end of September, and that will have to take you through to the start of January when the next payment comes in, and the final payment is paid after the Easter break. So that one can move depending on where Easter is. So typically the term is about 10 weeks, but they could be as long as 12 or 13 weeks in some cases. So being able to make that money stretch is certainly an art as well as a science. And to support you with that, there's lots of really useful ideas on the website. But one of the key ones is to get into the habit of budgeting. And that's something that as a team we can support you all the way with.
Yeah, it's definitely a good skill to have, isn't it? Even if you go, as you're going into adult life, that's something that you'll take with you. And those resources that you said, Jackie, on Black Bullion are fantastic for kind of planning that out, aren't they? So definitely take a look at that as well. Perfect. We'll move on to the next question then, please. So what is the last date to apply for scholarships? I know we've got lots of different scholarships at NTU, so it might be just pointing to the website where you can find those.
Yeah, definitely have a look at the website. So typically for undergraduates especially, rather than offering a lot of scholarships, the main thing that we do is the bursaries. So just to let you know, the difference between a scholarship and a bursary in the main is a scholarship is a reduction on the cost of your tuition, whereas a bursary is money that we actually give to the students. So when we've been looking at how best to serve our students over the years, they all tell us they'll prefer to have a bit of extra money. And I suppose with the cost of living as it is at the moment, having that extra bit in the form of a scholarship would certainly be advantageous. But that said, lots of really interesting scholarships. Typically, these might be particular for areas of study, or if you're excellent at things like music or sport, but the scholarships pages will be able to give you lots of detail because there's so many, and they've all got their own individual terms and what have you.
Lovely, thanks very much. So does your tuition fee get paid off as an extra on your student finance, or is it paid with your student finance?
Yeah, I'll answer that. So when you apply for your student finance, essentially you get 2 loans. So you get a tuition fee loan, which is paid directly to the university, and then you get paid a maintenance loan, which goes to you as a student. And then at the end of your studies, that money that you've borrowed for your tuition fees and that money that you've borrowed for your maintenance loan, that's put into one pot, and then you'll start to pay off one single payment once you're working and earning over the repayment threshold, which when you finish will be approximately £25,000. It should be going up with inflation every year, but we don't know what the future holds. But it's currently £25,000, and you pay 9% of any earnings over that £25,000 threshold, or whatever the monthly equivalent will be. And the best thing about it, for most people, it's paid through pay as you earn, a bit like tax, national insurance. You can't fall into arrears. It just sorts itself out and you receive your paycheck and away you go.
Bro, thank you. So, can NTU help me manage my money?
Do you want me to take that one?
Bro.
Yeah.
So NTU can help you in so many ways to manage your money. So one of the first ones is workshops. So I know we previously mentioned about our prospectus workshops, which is like a money ready style workshop. That does change once you get to university, once you get to NTU. And it is more tailored to kind of your year group. And we go over things like budgeting, money management. I also do one about finances after university. So we go through loads of steps to help you manage your money, whether that is sitting down with you and going over a budget. You can do that. You can make an appointment with one of our financial advisors, or that's kind of within one of my workshops. And we do loads of interactive and collaborative activities with each other to kind of learn more about how you can manage your money. But I think one thing is a key takeaway is everyone's going to be really different. So it's okay if it doesn't work the first time around. That's absolutely fine. Just keep going. And NTU are here to support you with that money management journey, wherever you are at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of workshops and things always going on, isn't there, at NTU that you can get involved with and learn more about managing your money. So, yeah. Brill, did anyone else have anything else to add on that, or should we move on to the next? No? Cool. Next question then. So, do you know when we can apply for student finance? David, this sounds like it's got your name all over it.
Hi, Lucy. You can apply now. So applications open this week. And I would really urge everybody to apply as early as you can. And the reason for that is that every year there are loads of people that wait until the summer. And if you wait till the summer, something that would take about 3 or 4 weeks at this point in the cycle take about 3 or 4 months. And although there's lots of information out there saying apply early, that we still have hundreds of students that haven't had their funding through at the start of the academic year. Now, that won't necessarily stop them from starting, but if you apply early, it's something that will be processed reasonably quickly, and that's just one less thing to worry about. So apply as soon as you can right now.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cool. So let's see if there's any more questions popping in. I think you've been pretty popular in the chat today. So can I apply for bursary and scholarships, so both at the same time?
I can't see why not, because a scholarship is something that's university level, and the bursary is going to be determined by student finance, household income, and eligibility for student finance. So I think you probably could, but I would check the individual terms of each scholarship just to be 100% certain.
Yeah, and like I say, that they're all available on our website. There's loads more information on there, so definitely check that out. So I think we've got time for a couple more questions. So where do I apply for my funding?
Yeah, so if you're applying to Student Finance England, as most, if not all of you will be, then it's the .gov.uk website. So if you've ever applied for a passport or a driving license, same website. So if you just Google .gov.uk student finance, it's all online. And typically an application will take about an hour. So the student goes in and does their bit. They put in their parents' email address. Parents then get an email. Parents go in separately, provide their NI number normally, then it's all married together, and that forms the assessment. And once it's all assessed, you get a letter and it tells you that you've got your tuition fee loan and you've got your maintenance loan and how much that is. So typically, to be eligible for funding, there are different routes, but most people are eligible simply by virtue of being a UK national or settled in the UK and you've lived here for the last 3 years.
Bro, thanks for that. Okay, so I think we've got time for one more question. So when will I get my maintenance loans? I think you touched on this slightly in the presentation, but if you just wanted to go back
absolutely.
over this.
So as long as you've been all approved, your maintenance loan is paid at the start of each term. So typically that's around the end of September, beginning of October for term 1. the beginning of January for term 2, and just after Easter for term 3. Now, some of our courses have slightly different term dates, so it'll always be the first day of each term for that particular course, but the majority of our courses are around then. And do make sure that you budget to cover that maintenance loan or meet your living costs for that term. So it is split into approximate thirds, and lots of useful information about how much you might get as maintenance loan. Actually, on that gov.uk website, there's a really cool student finance calculator that will give you a rough idea what your entitlement might look like. If you do need a hand with anything student finance, by the way, you're always welcome to contact us. We can help you with any application queries. So if you're possibly not a UK national, but you may have some immigration status that allows you funding, you need a hand making sure you get your application right. So certainly it could be folks that have got a status under the EU withdrawal agreement, for example, then you can always come to us and we'll do our utmost to help you get the funding that you're entitled to.
Lovely. Thanks very much for that. So thank you so much for all your questions. We've got loads in tonight. So if we didn't get round to answering those, don't worry. You can reach out to us on the email, which is just going on the bottom below. Or if you want to message us on our social media channels, then feel free to do that as well. And we can speak to you via there. So thank you so much, guys, for being on our chat. It's been really, really useful. Just to also say, we'll be saving this on our YouTube channel. So if you've missed some of it or you want to watch back or make some notes, then that'll be saved on just after this finishes. And also we've got a range of other lives coming up. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel where we'll be posting those. So yeah, thanks very much. And I hope you all have a great evening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.